One subject I wanted to discuss with you about some of these experiences was the geometric patterns that you get to see in these experiences. Um, why do you think we see them? Do you think it's a kind of a language? I'm trying to understand the meaning of those geometric patterns because so many people talk about seeing them, whether it's meditation or in dream states.
Yeah, actually, it's an entirely understandable side effect of neurophysiology. In the 1960s, they discovered a part of the visual cortex. They called it the ice cube, and it's actually for stereoscopic vision and for depth perception. Well, that's depth perception, but also from orientation. And it's let's see, it's 40 by 80, no, 20 by 40 by 80 neurons, and the optic nerve feeds into it, and it's a regular pattern. It's a lattice structure, and there was a Culver, yeah. Culver in the 1920s was interested in why people actually near-death experienced people, but also people having mystic experiences, or even just somebody doing this in front of the light, would see the same patterns. And he defined it down to four things. There's a honeycomb, a spiral, and two other things. But everything you see is a mix of those two. Mandalas and all the things we see, the spiritual experience, actually all relate to that structure. And they have meaning for us because it's a common part of our neurophysiology. In other words, every culture, every human being has that same structure. And an experience like peyote, that gives you pretty good ones, LSD, they're all neurotransmitters. That's the crazy thing. DMT is a neurotransmitter. It's not turning on the third eye in the literal sense. It's making very bizarre cross connections between parts of the brain that normally don't talk to each other. And it's activating this part of the system too. You know, for some people it's very auditory. They'll hear ghosts and, blah, blah, blah. Other people, the parts that are activated will be visual. Other people, it might be deep subconscious, which I think is where the going into stillness comes about, the really quiet, inner, peaceful part of our being. But, yeah, it can be understood on that neurological level, but what's more important is the fact it's a common language and it shows up in mandalas and sacred art, ayahuasca art. Everyone is seeing the same thing, so it actually doesn't matter but it's really cool to me that it's a crystal. It's like this 3D crystal structure of neurons. It's the only part of the brain that's laid out in this lattice. Crystals are interfaces to consciousness.
Now, is the meaning, like, let's say if I see Metatron cube patterns in my dream and you see it in your dream, would the meaning be the same, or is it different for each one? Would I have an individual meaning different from what it means for you?
That's a very interesting question because there's a cultural aspect to that. I mean, I guess you could imagine a culture in which, say, cones of ice cream were labeled with Metatron cubes and stuff like that, or whatever. That like sacred, what we call sacred geometry, was used to mark banal objects. Mm-hmm. And I think you would relearn through your cultural patterning, and you'd misplace the original ones. But if you have no conditioning around it, then it has its pure meaning. Apparently, a friend of mine told me this recently. So this, A-OK used to be this. And somebody, for a joke, as a meme, said it means white power. Or it literally is a, started trolling it. And now people think, oh, anyone who's doing this is saying white power. It's totally crazy. But that shows you how cultural conditioning can replace symbols. But I think, I suspect that if you have a deep enough experience, the more high-level transient conditioning goes away, and you get into semiotics or symbols which are universal, like the tree of life or the kookaburras, the dragon biting its own tail, or the rose, the beautiful rose structure, the practicality of DNA seen end on.
Because you are in a state where you don't have those cultural conditionings anymore.
Exactly.
You transcend that.
Yeah. Once you go deep enough. But if you're just having an entertainment experience, like, I don't know, just ketamine or whatever, I haven't tried, I don't like any of the chemical stuff, but I suspect you might get nightmares based on conditioning more. But nature would tend to provide you, I think, more meaningful, commonly meaningful metaphors that would have that showed up in cave drawings as well as in, something more recent.